from the bottom, ain't no problems, we gon' make a way. Got no coach on the field, but we making plays. Hey, look, don't worry, we gon' be okay. Hey, look, why? Cause we gon' make them pay. We from
Gonna get on into Sunday action. I only put up 4 games for Sunday. I tried to put up the Browns and Ravens game, but they didn't have a line for that because I'm assuming they're not sure if Lamar Jackson is going to play, is what I'm assuming. So if we get a line for that later on, maybe I'll do an individual play, individual video, or maybe we'll come back and do something. But so we only got 4 games left to go. We're going to start it off with the Steelers. They're going on a road divisional game, take on little brother and the Bengals, who's looking like little brother ain't little brother no more right now. The line is at the Bengals are home favorite at -4.5. The total is at 45.5. Let's look at the injury report real quick for the Steelers. We need to start looking at the weather report. It's getting that time. It's getting about that time of year where the weather is going to be very interesting. For the Steelers, we got cornerback Joe Hayden. He's questionable. Ebron is out and definitely tight end. Watt is questionable. Smith Schuster, he's out for the season. Hassinger, the center, he's questionable. Loudermilk, the DN, he's questionable. Dotson, the guard, he's out 2 to 3 weeks. Pittsburgh is pretty banged up. The Bengals, they got Evans, the linebacker, ACL. He's out for the season. I think he's been out. Tate, the receiver, is questionable. Davis Gaither, linebacker, he's out indefinitely. Shelvin, DT, questionable. And that's all we got for the Bengals. Actual factual for Pittsburgh, 3-6 ATS in their last 9 games, 4-1-1 straight up in their last 6 games. 11-2 straight up in their last 13 games against Cincinnati. 4-1 ATS in their last 5 games on the road. 7-1 straight up in their last 8 games when playing on the road against Cincy. 12-6 ATS in their last 18 games against an opponent from the AFC, and the total is going under in 4 of their last 5 games played in week 12. The Bengals, they're 1-4 ATS in their last 5 games at home. 1-7 straight up in their last 8 games when playing at home against Pittsburgh. 6-3 straight up in their last 9 games against an opponent from the AFC conference, and the total is going under in 6 of their last 8 games played in week 12. Under in 5 of the last 7 games played against Pittsburgh, and under in 6 of the last 9 games. Cincy at home against the Steelers, -4.5. The Bengals, the total is at 45. Mikey, what's the play?
Well, first thing is the Steelers defense. I think they were able to. I think the Steelers were able to actually manage and come back at the end of the game. What, they ended up losing by a touchdown or something to the Chargers.
Yeah, the final score of that last game was 41-37. They lost by 4 points.
Okay, I watched that entire game. So I had money out on the under, so I lost that. So the Steelers defense is they are horrible.
Well, they're banged.
Like
They're hurt.
I know. Okay, so are they healthy now?
Not by the injury report I just read. Hayden's questionable. That's the cornerback. Who else is on the defense? Watt is probable. Oh no, Watt is questionable. Tuitt, he's out. He's the DN. He's been out though. You got the other DN, Alua. He's been on IR. Christmas is on IR. He's been on IR. Davis, both of these are D tackles that have been on IR, and a cornerback in AC that's been on IR, and then Loudermilk, the other DN, is questionable. So you got some questionables on defense, and
Yeah. So
that's been defensively what's going on with Pittsburgh.
Okay. So the players they had on the field against the Chargers,
A lot of those people are still out, I think. Like, I know Hayden missed that game, if I'm not mistaken.
and that's gonna be a major problem unless they tighten it up.
Somebody better cover Jamar Chase.
Yeah, and I don't really think that's gonna happen. because from what I seen out there in that secondary, they was getting roasted. Then on top of that, they wasn't really getting no solid pressure. At least early on, they wasn't getting solid pressure. Another problem that they had that I saw, man, like they were getting eaten up by screens. Like the screens was just killing them. They couldn't stop the pass. They couldn't stop the run. They was throwing screens on them. I was like, wow. But, you know, it's a resilient group. You know, obviously, everything starts from the top. So they have a good, strong, tough-minded coach. They do have a veteran quarterback. And this is a divisional rivalry game of some sorts. So it wouldn't surprise me if they cover. It wouldn't surprise me if they covered, because I think Tomlin is probably going to tighten up on defense. I think it might be I think he might replace some of them players. Some of them players from last week might not necessarily start.
You know,
Might
some
not
of them
necessarily
shouldn't.
start. I think Tomlin can. I think he can. I think he can tighten everything up and make some adjustments. And so just that off the strength alone, because I don't really want to be the knee jerk person. Because if I was, I mean, I would automatically jump to the Bengals are going to kick the Steelers' ass. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Steelers covered. So I'm going to take the Steelers plus the points.
All right. That's kind of surprising, Mikey, because these are, my opinion, these are your Bengals. I mean, you kind of put me on these Bengals about 2 years ago or so. I kind of started paying a little bit of attention to them. I'm not mistaken. And they've gotten a lot better since those 2 years. Obviously, with the addition of Chase and Daniels, not Daniels. What's the goddamn quarterback?
Burrow.
Burrow. There we go. My bad. Brain fart. With Burrow, and I've been on them a lot this season. They've made me some money. I really hate betting against Mike Tomlin, especially off a loss. He's a good
Yeah.
goddamn coach. And four is tricky because it's over a field goal, but less than a touchdown. That's like, I hate that 4 or 5. It's kind of weird. It feels like it's like just a weird spot to me. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna ride with the Bengals. Even though it's a revenge game for the Steelers, these Bengals went on the road and beat the Steelers 24-10, like week 3 or week 4. I think this is a game that not only they're not going to be sleep on, they're going to be riled up for this game. Like you said, it's a division game, and even though they're the favorite and considered probably the better team right now, I think mentally they still got to get over that hurdle of we got to beat the Steelers, and it's the Steelers, and I think they're going to be up for this game. I think we'll
I
get their
think that's
best
the number
effort,
one key right there. Like you said, mentally, they got to get
and
over
I
that hump.
and I think beating them at Pittsburgh obviously was a good first step, and I think to seal it and to consider yourself, if you want to threaten the Ravens for this division, you need to take care of business right now. And I think they got the Ravens coming up in back-to-back weeks. Well, they got the Ravens, then bye week, then Ravens. So you need this game because you're probably going to split with the Ravens if you want the division. This is a big game, and if you want to solidify yourself as a young upstart team, you got to beat the Steelers and the Ravens. And I'm going to ride with the Bengals. I think the Steelers just too banged up, man. I hate going against Mike Tomlin. If they weren't banged up, I would definitely take that 4.5 and put it in my back pocket. But looking at what we saw last week in that secondary and
That
Jamar
shit was
Chase, man,
that shit
Chase is looking like
terrible.
a top flight wide receiver. And his connection with Burrow is definitely looking like LSU all over again. So, and it's crazy how they were talking about how he was struggling in mini camp and in training camp with catching the ball. Nigga doing fine right now though. Um, I like the Bengals here, Mike. I'm gonna ride with the -4.5. I think they cover. I think it is tight early, but I think they pull away late. The injury is just going to catch up to him in the secondary, and Home crowd would be right.
That's a very good assessment, because what I saw from that secondary last week, that was the worst performance that I've ever seen from a secondary this year. It's the worst performance I've seen from a secondary this year.
Not the worst, Mikey.
The worst.
It was pretty bad. I luckily didn't have nothing on it because I didn't know which way to go. I think the line was like 6. I just kind of felt like it was a bit much. And it turns out it was, because I actually like the Chargers, but couldn't pull that trigger on that one. Let's get to the next game, though.
Check it out. Look, we from the bottom, ain't no problems, we gon' make a way. Got no coach on the field, but we making plays. Hey, look, don't worry, we gon' be okay. Hey, look, why? Cause we gon' make them pay. We from